the essential problem is that the word coach or guide or therapist or mentor and all that sort of thing are very ambiguous words which have been hijacked for a whole bunch of reasons.
Right. And the coaching world is a very deep pool full of very shallow people.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think it's possibly one of the first little rants we had together. And you're not doing that, and there's not really a word for what you do.
Right.
But it's clear you do something different. For a start, a lot of people go into coaching because they feel they want to be better, or something like that. It's kind of like, I'm here static and I want to be that. Whereas my impression of the people that you work with is that they are already achieving some degree of success in their lives.
Mm-hmm. Usually that's true.
Yeah, you're not working with junior people, you're not working with even ambitious people or something like that. They are all people who have achieved some degree of success in their lives, and something has happened.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you come in, essentially all tooled up to stop the contagion from spreading. You hear about these successful business people and it's like, yeah, it was never the same after his divorce or something like that. His wife is still funding him up and causing all sorts of problems. And, you can see it in the profitability of the business or whatever.
And I mean, it can be good things or bad things. So divorce is pretty common, but if your business IPO, that can create a lot of chaos.
Yeah.
And the problem is most of these people, and it's men, not always, but typically, they don't have any true friends. I mean, yeah, they have bros they hang out with, but they don't have any friends who they trust implicitly. And even if they do have someone who they would consider a friend, that person is kind of in the system, if that makes sense. And so they can't give them any kind of real outside sounding board.
And they may not be safe to talk to.
It may not be confidential.
Well, not only that, but also if you have achieved an element of success, people kind of need you to keep that persona going.
Right. Yeah. I had one client say that I'm the rock for the rocks. Like she's the person in her world that holds everything together. And if she falls apart, everything becomes a disaster. And so she needs a place where she can come and be like, I am not okay, where it doesn't affect the rest of her sphere.
Yeah. And I think also you do make sacrifices on the way to achieving a level of success, which maybe you turn around and go, actually, my friend pool's not as big as it was in my 20s, sort of thing. If you've done a fair amount of work on yourself and had a large bank of distributed friends, it may be that when you hit a bump in the road or an opportunity, you wouldn't need to call Robyn. But most people need to call Robyn because it's the thing that's been neglected over the years, or it's the thing that's gone wrong. If you've got a marriage that's gone wrong, that's gonna have created some problems in your social circle anyway. And whilst you're doing that, presumably you have to keep your head in the game in terms of you still got to make payroll, you still got to, in fact, your costs are going up more because there's probably a bunch of lawyers involved, and now maybe you're paying for 2 houses, that kind of good stuff.
Yeah. And if you're a corporate executive, you've got to keep your head on straight because the company is going to continue on without you if you don't. I've seen people get fired because they've gotten divorced and they couldn't keep their head in the game.
Yeah. I heard, speaking with one friend who was going through some medical issues, and it appears that her peers are like, great, this is weakness. We're going to exploit it. I was like, whoa. And she's, a middle manager. It's like, bloody hell.
Yeah.
The sharks are out there. Because also, you are fairly accomplished yourself, should we say.
But it's not, I guess the thing that makes it different, I guess to defend against my academic accomplishments, is I also have a degree from the School of Hard Knocks. I spent 14 years in the corporate world before I ever went to college. And I have crazy chaos in my past. And I think that makes me more empathetic. There's nothing that someone could say to me that I can't say, oh, I have nothing to compare that to. I don't have a place to put that in my brain.
And I think that's the difference perhaps between you and a lot of other coaches. Because sometimes when people have been through hard times, it's like, oh, I'm going to become a life coach and help coach people through what I've been through, sort of thing, as a way of possibly ignoring their own problems. But you also went to school, if you see what I mean. You got a doctorate in psychology. So, I know when I've talked to you about stuff, I get the empathy and I get the thoughtfulness, but I can also keep digging and I hit proper theory. I think you and I had a discussion about a particular scenario and you went, yeah, see, chapter 13 in my second book. It's like, okay, all right. You have been here before.
I did say that.
I don't know I don't know what sort of metaphor. I mean, I had this metaphor of sort of like scaffolding or reinforcement that you could bring in on a short-term basis. And again, in the corporate world, you'd call a contractor in for difficult situations, often on short notice.
Well, it's like that client that called me a smoke jumper, says I parachute in and help fight life's fires from the inside. And the picture that I came up with from that was like this Venn diagram of your life where you've got, your friends and your family and your social life and your work and all these different pieces, and they all overlap and you're in the middle like, oh, this is a lot. And
nobody else is in the middle with you.
Nobody else is in the middle with you. Yeah. Exactly. And that's the place where I can literally parachute in and be like, okay, let's sort this.
Yeah. Your level of service, you can't have 1 million people beating a path to your door.
Oh no, I can only work with 5, maybe 8 people at a time. My LinkedIn says I'm a concierge high performance psychologist. There's a whole bunch of fancy words, right? But the whole point being is that I'm available because chaos doesn't happen on a schedule. Do you get scheduled time? Absolutely. Do you have to use it? No. If something comes up, should you text me? Yes. I mean, I have clients I talk to every day. It might just be a little text. Hey, this is going on. Hey, that's going on. Oh, here's an interesting picture, whatever. But it is a everyday kind of touch base thing, which sounds like a lot until you realize they don't have anyone else to talk to.
Well, it's extraordinary times, isn't it? I don't think you don't work with people who are in their normal steady state. And I think that's possibly the crucial difference between a sort of coach. Coaches don't want to deal with real problems. I commission coaching for people in our company, and the coaches, bless them, are very clear. It's like, do not give us anybody with real problems.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
That's when people refer someone to me, when another coach says, hey, I think you should talk to this person or this person should talk to you. I'm always like, they've got too much going on. And a lot of my colleagues who call themselves executive coaches or whatever term they use, they'll say work. I only talk about work. If they start straying into their personal life, boy, I bring them right back. I'm here to talk about work. I don't know how that works. I don't know how you talk to someone and say, you are only allowed to talk to me about this silo of your life, because again, Venn diagram, it all overlaps.
That's a bit stunning, isn't it? Yeah, of course it overlaps, the whole person. If we were to use medical sort of metaphors and things like that, you're a little bit like in the initial stages of an engagement, probably ER. Okay, what do we got? How do we triage this? How do we triage the problems? Because quite often, I guess, the sort of journey to get to you would be something goes badly wrong, they're not coping with it, and somebody recommends you. Yeah.
Or they find me. On rare occasions, I did have a situation last fall where I was engaged with someone around a different problem, and then his father went on life support. And I got a call on a Saturday saying, Robyn, my dad went on life support and I'm the executor. You have to help me decide if I'm going to kill my dad. Now, fortunately for him, I knew his family. We already had a history. So he didn't, at that minute, in that crisis, have to try and bring me on board. So for him, he was very fortunate.